How you doing, YouTube? Matt, Massive Beer Reviews, back to yet another review. One of those musical collaboration venture kind of beers today. A little bit of who would win in a wrestling match, Lemmy or God kind of beer time. Today's Massive Beer Review in the form of Arcadia Brewing's Road Crew Motorhead American IPA. Yeah. I've had a bunch of Arcadia beers before. Some I've liked, some have been okay. I haven't had one in quite some time, but I ended up getting kind of reached out by a PR firm or whatever saying, hey, we have, Motorhead, we're doing this beer, we want them to come on your podcast. And I was like, I'm kind of booked for a bit, but I'll definitely take a look at the beer. And they're like, okay, man, we'll send you off some beer. And lo and behold, here we are. As far as what it says on here, it says Motorhead, Road Crew, 6.2% alcohol by volume, American IPA, brewed by Arcadia Brewing Company, Kalamazoo, Michigan. Done and done. Yeah. Label-wise, it's Motorhead. What do you want? I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the biggest Motorhead fan in the world. I like their music, but it definitely, as I led with the into the beer review, it has one of the best lines in the history of moviedom. One of the best movies in the history of moviedom is a movie called Airheads, starring Brendan Fraser, Adam Sandler, and what's that one dude's name? God, why am I spacing on his goddamn name? Anyway, it's Steve Buscemi. Forget him. I remember Brendan Fraser and Adam Sandler. Anyway, and they're like, kind of rock people, and they're trying to get into, they're trying to get their record on the radio, which is really weird because that doesn't even exist anymore. And they break in this place and they hold this radio station hostage. And then they ask for a list of demands, and they send in like a movie executive from the outside to the inside, but it's really a secret undercover police guy, and he's questioning him, kind of testing his knowledge, whether he's a real rock agent. And they said, who would win in a wrestling match, Lemmy or God? And the guy goes, Lemmy. And they go, and he goes, God. And they go, no, Lemmy is God. It's one of the best sequences in the history of movies. I had to say it. Anyway, the beer. Rich golden in color. You know what I mean? Little bits of particulate, very, very fine. I wouldn't call it in like microfine glass, kind of clear. There was just an off-white head to her, so she looks like kind of an old school traditional kind of IPA. Nothing too crazy, nothing too hazy, just a rich golden color. So yeah, let's see what she smells like. Not really much there, to be perfectly honest with you. Soft bittering. Yeah, there's like a burnt note in there, nose-wise. There's a soft bittering hop. There's a smoky component in there that's really weird. It's a soft bittering, a little bit of subtle sweetness. Nothing really too sweet in there. It's probably more bitter than sweet, but even that bittering component's not too big. That shows you how low the sweetness is. And then there's this slight, burnt, smoky component in there. I have no idea where that's coming from. Let's dive in. Cheers. Really not much there. Again, bittering. There's a bittering component there, but it's very generic. Not much to it. If I was going to lean in any direction, it would be kind of a piney vibe to it. A little bit of resinous pininess, but again, it's very muted as far as the kind of depth of that pininess goes. Nice mouthfeel. It's very low sweetness. It's got a nice mouthfeel, but the sweetness is way lower than it needs to be, especially for the bitterness, even though, again, just like the nose, the bitterness isn't that big. And there's this slight burnt, it's more burnt and smoky in the taste kind of component, unlike the roasted malt, like they roasted a little too aggressively or something like that. Yeah, there's really not much to the beer, to be perfectly honest with you. It's bittering with too little of a sweetness. Not that I want a beer to be just sweet for the sake of sweetness, but you need a bit of balance here, and it's just not there. The lack of depth in the hops, it just comes off as a soft bittering with a little bit of pininess, but not much else. A little bit of palate smacking on the back end, but nothing too crazy. A nice mouthfeel to it, but that's pretty much it. Really underwhelming stuff. Yeah, and that slight burnt component And they're just kind of, it's not off-putting, but it definitely kind of sets the table. And since there's nothing redeeming about the hops, the malt or anything like that, it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. Kind of bummer, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Let's talk about it. Is it one of the better IPAs I've had as of late? No. Just doesn't really land in any form or fashion. Outside of the mouthfeel, there's really not much as far as redeeming goes, and it does have that little bit of kind of burnt, kind of, I wouldn't go as far as to call it like Band-Aidy kind of medicinal burnt kind of thing going on, but it's definitely not a bonus in there. It's kind of a negative off flavor. Yeah, kind of a just super bummer. I mean, these band collabs, I usually go into them with a little bit of, a grain of salt. I think the La Toute de Monde from the whole, when they did up there at Unibrew is quite nice. For a majority, they're usually a bit gimmicky. And, yeah, this one just comes off as like, hey, brew us a beer. We don't care what it is kind of thing. If that's the case, whatever. But yeah, outside of being a Motorhead fan, I don't even really know any reason to really kind of pick it up. Let's see. I already said one of the better IPAs I've had is late. Definitely not. Bagging availability, no idea. It was sent to me. I assume it's going to hit a bunch of markets, so you don't sign a band like this, even though Lemmy is dead now. You don't sign a band like this and then just release it in 1 or 2 markets. So it's probably going to hit pretty wide and far. And leave you with, if you like what should you pick this up? If you like Motorhead. Done and done. So there we go. Another review of the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't, anywhere in between, down there, words and stuff. Massive Beers, if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive, if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a nice little IPA right now. And hopefully see you next time. Cheers.